Japan has a new leader after nearly 8 years. Yoshihide Suga has officially been named Prime Minister, and he's unveiled a cabinet with many familiar faces. Several of Shinzo Abe's ministers will keep their jobs, including Finance Minister Taro Aso, who's also Deputy Prime Minister. I'm standing by to take you live to Tokyo for Mr Suga's first news conference as Prime Minister. But first, a look at today's vote.
Flowers and applause as Japan's longest-serving leader leaves his office as Prime Minister for the last time. Shinzo Abe's nearly 8 years in office was abruptly cut short by health issues.
政権奪還以来、経済再生、そして国益を守るための外交に一日一日全力を尽くしてまいりました。この間、さまざまな課題に国民の皆様と共にチャレンジすることができたことは私の誇りとするところであります。
Officially succeeding him as Prime Minister, former Chief Cabinet Secretary and Mr Abe's longtime right-hand man Yoshihide Suga. Mr Suga easily won the parliamentary vote where his Liberal Democratic Party holds a commanding majority. He promised to stick closely to policies championed by his predecessor, but he may face an early tough call. Speculation is rife that he may soon dissolve Parliament and call for snap polls.
And live to Tokyo now, where Mr Suga is holding his first news conference as Prime Minister. Let's listen in.
Areas I tackled important challenges, and after the turn of the year, we had a COVID-19 and expansion of the pandemic and the worst ever fallout of the economy after the World War II. Now we have to scarily tackle such a situation. That's what we did. And this time around, the former Prime Minister got ill, so therefore he had to resign halfway through. So I feel I have to share the same sympathy. However, we shall never allow the political vacuum amid this crisis. So after overcoming this crisis, we have to provide a sense of security, peace of mind, and safe livelihoods to the people of Japan. In order to make it happen, the initiatives of the Abe administration have to be inherited, and we have to vigorously move them forward. And that is a very mandate that was given to me. What we have to do right now, the biggest challenge that we have to tackle is our response to COVID-19. We have seen explosive expansion of the COVID-19 in the West. We have to stop it, or we have to prevent it, and we have to protect the lives and the healthy status of Japanese people, and we have to also manage economic activities at the same time. Otherwise, we will go nowhere. And since the turn of the year, we have some lessons learned from the pandemic, so we have to provide the right testing capacity, and we have to secure the right medical services system. And by next year, and to all the people, we have to provide the right capacity of the vaccination by the first half of the next year. And under this economic crisis situation, we have to protect people's jobs, and we have to sustain people's business. 2 million, up to 2 million business continuity benefits and job adjustment benefits, and up to 40 million zero interest and unsecured loans. So such necessary package will be disseminated, and through Go-To campaign, given the premise that the right anti-infection measure is in place for events and for shopping streets, and for those affected people, we'd like to provide financial assistance. And for Go-To Travel, after the start was launched in April, 13 million people have used this service. However, only 10 people were infected under Go-To campaign without any reservation. We'd like to put into place the right measures going forward. The economic rehabilitation is something that the administration will put the first priority on. the easy money policy and growth strategies. So we need to really inherit the Abenomics with 3 others to facilitate the further reformation. And before the inauguration, 70 yen per dollar and 8,000 yen level share price. So that was our situation. We were economically afflicted.
Market has been moving very stable under the impact, even under the impact of COVID-19. Japan is losing its population, but the number of jobs went up about 4 million, 3.3 million female. In all the prefectures in Japan, job availability ratio exceeded 1. That means
したい人は全て働くことができるような環境を作ったんです。バブル
with the collapse of bubble economy, we enjoyed the highest economic situation before the COVID-19 infection, but we have been hit very hard by the disease. We have to stem the tide of the disease infection, then we have to create a society after COVID-19. We will strive to carry out reforms sustainably. We make necessary investments so that we can jumpstart the economy after the COVID-19 is behind us. In particular, COVID-19 has shed light on some issues and problems. Digital supply chain systems should be reviewed. That's what I think. Online medical treatment is available now. That has to be continued. For the education of children after COVID-19, then we have to carry out the giga schools. Digitalization of government services, the key is the national identification card. Without going to government offices, the people can do all the procedures, administration. The national identification card was necessary, but the card was not available enough. Then we'd like to proceed with the introduction. Then we have to proceed with the implementation of government policies, and we're going to establish a digital agency to carry out digital strategies of the Japanese government. In the
Japan's new Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga there. Let's get some immediate reaction to what we've been hearing from our correspondent in Japan, Michio Ishida. Michio, what do you make of what the new Prime Minister has said so far?
Well, basically what Prime Minister Suga has been saying is a repetition of what he's been saying since he was running in the LDP presidential campaign. And so, there wasn't much of a surprise of what he's been saying. He says that the biggest priority he's placing in his administration is dealing with COVID-19. And he wants to prevent any explosive infection which is experienced in Europe and the United States. And he wants to increase the number of testing. He wants to supply vaccine to everyone by the first half of next year. And this is his biggest priority. And he says that COVID-19 has also unveiled that Japan is behind in digitalization, and he wants to promote more digitalization. And he says that in terms of dealing with the economy, he wants to activate the economy and social life so that the Japanese economy can be boosted. And he says that this should be done later by continuing Abenomics, the 3 arrow of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. So he wants to continue Mr. Abe's policy. And he's also mentioning about how he has his heart in recovery of rural areas, as he is from a family of farmers.
So, Mitch, Mr. Suga has promised more of the same, but we also know that he could soon be put to a test, though.
Yes, I think you're talking about a general election. Well, actually, Deputy Prime Minister Taro Aso said recently that he's expecting a snap election anytime soon. And also another Taro Taro Kono, who has been appointed as administrative reform minister in the Suga cabinet, said in an international forum that he expects a snap election in October. So October seems to be the month that this might happen. And that's what the opposition parties were also speculating. However, some critics are thinking that this might change now. It's after looking at Mr. Suga's cabinet lineup. They're saying that the faces in this cabinet are familiar to the Abe cabinet, and also they're basically the most capable cabinet ministers that Mr. Abe has chosen in his cabinet. So by looking at that, it seems that Mr. Suga is really serious about getting the work done. So Mr. Suga may want to carry on with this cabinet lineup rather than calling for a snap election immediately, because snap election means that he has to reshuffle his cabinet, and that would not be good in terms of continuity.
Yeah, that's right. We're watching closely. Thanks very much for that. Michio Ishida speaking to us from Tokyo.